What's up, YouTube? It's the Console Samurai with Grown-Ups Gaming. It's nothing new to see political groups or special interest groups getting involved in video games or movies or TV shows, books, whatever, or protesting them for the content they've seen in them. It's actually something we've been seeing a lot. It's been around for a while, but we've been seeing it more and more over recent years. And it's actually something I've made a video or two about. The latest group is PETA. And for those of you who don't know who PETA is, they are a pretty popular animal rights activist group. PETA actually stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And while they are a very popular group, and while a lot of people do applaud what they're trying to do, they're not a very well liked group due to their methods. They do tend to go a little too far. Well, their latest project is they're petitioning a company called Games Workshop, which is the creator of the Warhammer series of video games and board games, in an effort to have Games Workshop take all of the fur off their characters. Because their thinking is that if you see the fur on the characters, it's just going to promote the idea that wearing fur in real life is wrong, or is okay, excuse me. And them obviously being an animal rights activist group, they are anti-fur. They think wearing fur is wrong. And I'm not going to get into a debate on this video about whether wearing fur is okay or wearing fur is not okay, because that to me is a completely separate issue. The problem here is that we're talking about a fantasy world. Wearing fur in a fantasy world does not equate to wearing fur in real life. And this is, I think, something that PETA has failed to understand over all the years, because this isn't the first time we've heard from PETA. Two notable examples of when we've heard from PETA was when Pokemon first came out, way back in the day, way back when Red and Blue came out, or more or less around that time. When Red and Blue came out, they came out with another one, Pokemon Black and Blue, which was, from what I've read, I never played it, but from what I've read, was a horrifying, disturbing game. Which I understand why they were offended. The purpose of Pokemon is, or the plot of Pokemon is you go out and you capture wild animals and you force it to fight other animals. I understand why they're offended. Absolutely. I get it. This goes against everything that your organization stands for. But that doesn't mean that you need to come out with a horrifying game that's going to scar children. Another issue when they came out with Cooking Mama is PETA came out with their own parody, or however you want to call it, called Mama Kills Animals. How a cooking game became an animal murder game, I have no idea. For those of you who don't know Cooking Mama, it teaches you to cook in the same way that Rock Band or Guitar Hero teaches you how to play the guitar. It gives you the most rudimentary basics, but not actually enough to accomplish anything, to be honest. It is really just for fun. But this is a good example of what they do. They latch onto something that seems pretty harmless, and then they turn it into this huge thing where they demonize it just because it's against because they're offended by it. And I am a big fan of free speech. I've mentioned this several times in my videos before as well. To be honest, if Pokemon offends you, if Cookie Mama offends you, if wearing fur in Warhammer offends you, don't look. It really is that simple. There's no harm. There's no harm in Pokemon. There's no harm in Cooking Mama, and there's no harm in Warhammer, simply because these are not real things. These are not real lives. The characters in Warhammer are not guilty of wearing fur because they're not guilty of anything because they're not real. They are just digital representations of artist renderings. They're collections of ones and zeros, colored pixels. They are not guilty of anything. They're not people. So you really can't get offended at what an imaginary character does, especially if it's not actually hurting anybody. And the idea of these characters wearing fur, okay, PETA's upset, but again, just don't look at it. If it bothers you, don't look. It's not like the anti-fur thing is a new thing to them. They've been pushing it for God knows how long. That may even been one of the things they've been fighting since the very beginning. And like I said, I'm not going to get into a pro-fur, anti-fur debate on this, but the idea that they think that a digital character, the idea that they can't distinguish between reality and fiction is a problem. And their claims that this is actually how it's going to go, that wearing fur or wearing fur in the characters is going to make people wear fur in real life, is a really bad argument, because how long has Pokemon been out? Every time a new generation of Pokemon comes out, do we see a huge rise in dogfighting, cockfighting, or any other kind of thing where people capture a wild animal and force it to fight in some fucked up arena? No, we don't see that because that's not the way the world works. I know PETA wants to try to do that because they want to scare people into, oh my God, if we don't stop this, this is how it's going to go. It's not reality. It's not how this works because we haven't seen that, nor are we going to see that because that's not the way people are. People understand the difference between reality and fantasy. Sure, some people don't understand the difference between them, but those people are not they're the exception. They're not the rule. We know, most people know the difference between these things. You know, when Grand Theft Auto comes out, you don't see, you know, a huge spike in car theft. You know, car theft is what has always been. You know, it fluctuates a little bit. All crime fluctuates a little bit, but these games, they don't really impact reality because they're just entertainment, and the vast majority of people know that. Why PETA thinks that they have to get involved every time, I don't know. Maybe it's because they feel like they are losing relevance and they need to get back out, and this is the easiest way for them to do it. I don't know. But what do you think? Do you think that it makes sense that banning fur in a video game is going to lead to people wearing less fur in real life? Or do you think that it's not going to have any impact at all because it, again, is just reality versus fantasy? Either way, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, I am the Console Samurai, and I'll see you around.